Now we're going to go over the vowel sounds. The vowel sounds of English pronunciation are the most difficult to get down correctly, quickly, and easily. Okay, there's many reasons for that. One of them is just that the other languages have different vowel sounds. They might produce them different in their mouth. They also have different names for it. So instead of calling it A, E, I, they might refer to it as A, A, E. Okay, that adds a lot of confusion right there. Okay. Um, Also, it's different in other countries that speak English. Okay, so Great Britain, South Africa, Australia, their vowel sounds are going to be slightly different than in the US. And within the US, we also have different vowel sounds. Okay, so the East Coast, the West Coast, the North, and the South all have different variations. For the purpose of this course, we are talking about general American English pronunciation of vowel sounds. That would be the Midwest. Okay, so what you hear on most of the news, the national entertainment, national broadcasting is going to be using the vowel sounds of general American English. So let's get started. First, when teaching this, you're going to want to really isolate and model the individual vowels. When I say isolate, I mean isolate each one, both the long and the short. And you're going to want to do this over and over again. One of the most helpful things for me when I was learning other languages was just saying in those languages their vowels in a pattern. So maybe like A, E. But for my students, I teach them over and over A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. Okay, and they can do that. You can make a song out of it. You can sing it. You can do it every day, every class, okay, until they get it down. So that when they see that letter E, they're saying E, not A. Okay, so we have the long and the short versions of each, and I discuss vowel sounds much more depth in other areas, both of this course and in the other materials that I have elsewhere. So this is just an overview. You're going to want to go through each one. And as an activity I have later in this course, we will be talking about the letter A, but just as a refresher, the long A is pronounced A, just like it looks. So we have A, and then E is pronounced just like it looks, E. Okay. So for the long vowels, you're pronouncing just like the letter. But for the short A, you often hear referred to as ah. Okay. Not in general American English. The short A is actually ah, ah, especially if you live near Chicago. Okay. Ah, cat. Okay. Like my name. My name is Annie. Okay. It's not Annie. You don't want to call me Annie. It's Annie. Ah. Okay. It's kind of ugly. It's harsh, but it is what it is. So we have short A, ah, as in cat. You don't want to say ah, because that would be a short O, as in like cot, C-O-T, cot. We're saying cat, C-A-T would be cat, C-O-T would be ah, cot. So you're going to individually isolate the words, the letters, and model the correct mouth position. And you're going to want to repeat this. You want to use these sounds in as many activities as you can, as many word puzzles, as many mazes, and all the different activities that you can come up with. I have many of my own that I use, that I sell, but you can plug these in any type of game that'll work with this. So just to review, you have A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Y is a whole nother issue. You can study it as a vowel, and you can also study it, which would make the E and the I sound, or you can study it as a consonant, as in ya. So another thing to point out is U has two sounds. There's the U with the Y in front of it, like cute, okay? And the long U without the Y sound, which would be ooh, okay? So like suit, a suit of armor, okay? Or the Y before the U, like cute, okay? Or unique. It's not unique, it's unique. There's no Y there, but it's pronounced YU. So you're going to want to separate those out and make sure you go over each letter and their sound. And then you have the short. We have A, E, I, A, okay? And the Y would sometimes have an I sound, like an I, short I. So you're going to have to go through all those, be creative, just repeat, repeat, repeat. Go over those sounds. At this point, you're also going to want to go over the common patterns, the CVC and the VCB, so that you can clarify to them when they're going to be generally using long and short. Okay. So we have CVC as in sit. You have the consonant S, vowel I, consonant T would make a short vowel, sit. You flip that around and you ignore the consonant S and you have the ending of the syllable. You have the short I, which would be the V, the consonant C, which is T, and the vowel E, which is silent in this case, which is the most common pattern. So you would have VCV with a silent E, and that would be sight. Okay, CVC sit, VCV sight. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Here's a short A activity taken from my book, Mastering Vowel Sounds, but you don't need to use my sheet. You can create your own. All you're doing is making a simple maze like this, or just a simple grid, and you're going to put in your vowel sounds, okay? You want to put words that are kind of confusing or close together for the best results, okay? So this is just an example of short A, but you could use this for any of the vowels. Okay, mazes are a fun, great way for students to practice the different sounds. So they're going to be starting for this maze. They're going to follow the maze of words with a short A sound, as in the word bat. Okay, remember we're looking for the A sound. Okay, so we're looking for A. Starting, we have mad. You can go to the right, chap, or to the bottom, to below it, to train. Okay. Now train has a long A, so we don't want that. We want to stick with the A sound. Okay. So they would go to chap. Remember to repeat this to your students so they can hear it. Okay. You can start with one and do it together, and then later assign ones on their own. Or if you feel they have a pretty good grasp, you can just go ahead and assign them on their own. Okay, and then correct it together. It's important to give them the answers so that they don't accidentally learn an error. Okay, that's just good teaching. Okay, so we have mad, chap. Then they would choose either back or take. Okay, so we have mad, chap, back, and they can go to cake or hash. Okay, so moving along, they would just go to mad, chap, back, hash. Okay, they don't want to go to bread. There's EA, which can be pronounced as an E sound, an A sound, or an E sound. That EA combination has a lot of variables or exceptions to the rules. Here it sounds like a short E, as in bread. So instead, you're going to go down from hash to fat. Okay. Then we have the vowel, consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant, vowel. We know these are both long, and hopefully eventually your students will recognize that combination and know immediately to go down to the vowel consonant as sham. Okay, so we have hash, fat, sham. When you get to a word like sham, it's okay if you don't know what it means. It's okay if you don't know what a lot of these means. And it's okay if your students don't know the words. This is not a vocabulary lesson. This is a pronunciation level lesson. So focus on the pronunciation only. They can always write down the words and look them up later, or you can discuss them later, but bring the students' attention back to pronunciation. Okay? So they're going to go through and they're going to answer all those out. We have fat, sham, ramp, stash, clasp. Okay. Then we have a short I, a long A. Okay. Tank. Okay. This is an exception. It's not tank. Okay. It's tank. So you want to guide them down from clasp to flack, branch, lash, stand, and last. Okay. And in the next lesson, I'll give you a pronunciation path, which is another sort of a maze that you can practice on your own and see how you do. See you in the next lesson. Here's an activity for you to practice yourself. I have included this PDF and you can print it out, give it to your students, or you can screenshot it and do it online with them, however you want to do it. And first, try it yourself. Again, we're just looking for the short A sound, and you can only go through where the holes are, okay? And we're looking for short A only. This is one of my most popular pronunciation paths on my website and in my book, Mastering Vowel Sounds. So we're going to start with cat, and you can either go to bake or rash, okay? So we go from cat to rash. No going to realm. You're going to have to go to the right to tact. Just remind the students that you cannot go at a diagonal. You can only go where the open holes are, like a regular maze. Okay? Give it a try. Good luck. And I've included the answer sheet so you can correct your own. See you in the next lesson.